Mr. Scott, in my faith tradition, there is an appropriate word, and that is amen. And now from the DeMonte family and friends, first we'll be sharing Mark Ferguson, one of Dustin's friends.
I wanted to first start by offering my condolences to the Hamzy family. Thank you all for being here today. And a special thank you to all police officers and first responders who have traveled from near and far to be with us. It's amazing to see so many people gathered in one place to honor the lives of these incredible human beings. I'm sure they are looking over us now, humbled by each person that has shown love, appreciation, and respect. I hope they feel the overwhelming outpouring of support the entire community has shown them and their families over the past week. My name is Mark Ferguson, and I've had the privilege of knowing Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte for over 20 years. To be honest, I never actually referred to him by his rank. For me, I did what I do with anyone I love. Invent silly nicknames that make no sense to anybody but the two of us. On any given day, he could have gone by Dust, Dusty, Dust Mop, Trust, Big Country, and Dustin Dunkin' Donuts DeMonte. We met how most kids do that are 11 or 12 years old in Middletown. Sharing middle school classes at Keglin, extracurricular activities like band, and playing organized sports. Eventually, this was a lot of pickup basketball and bowling. But in the beginning, it was mainly baseball. I have to be honest though, Dustin was the one actually playing baseball. I spent most games carving mini golf holes into the crushed rock of the dugout and playing putt-putt with the other bench warmers. Dustin was the most pure soul from day one, unmistakably gentle. Like many of us here, I gravitated towards his friendship immediately. I would have never guessed all those years ago how remarkably consistent he would remain. The epitome of a friend. Selfless and relentlessly caring. There wasn't a single time he didn't ask me about how my wife was doing, what my parents were up to, and what chapter I was planning next in my life. He never talked about himself first. Not because he wasn't proud of his family or his achievements, but because he genuinely wanted to know about mine. We experienced so many of life's biggest moments together. Graduating high school and college, starting careers, getting married, and having kids of our own. He so dearly loved his entire family. His wife, his kids, his parents, his siblings, his cousins, his in-laws. Of course, I can't really talk about Dustin and not mention his amazing wife, Laura. The love and happiness he found in Laura was something we talked about finding as teenagers. Hoping we would one day meet someone who had as much love to give as we did. I'm so glad he experienced a love like that. Man, did he deserve it. The banter between Dustin and Laura was so infectious, and we always wanted to be around it. He loved when we were poking fun at each other. You couldn't fit a bigger smile on that bald head of his. Of course, he could never hide that smile when talking about his beautiful children, Phoebe and Porter. You could tell how proud he was to be a father. One of the hardest things is knowing that he won't be here to see what they become. But how can they not grow up to be incredible when he's such a deep part of them? He set an amazing example for me. And it's devastating that my children won't get to experience who Uncle Dustin is. Brian, Dustin, and I had so much fun together. A lifetime of laughter and joy crammed into 20 years. We were never scared to be ourselves in front of Dustin, and we knew that we could always lean on him. He stayed true to himself. It would never change, no matter who he was around. He was our rock. He was his family's rock. He was everyone's rock. A constant force of good. The older I get, the more I understand and appreciate the importance friends have in my life. They are the people you choose to be around. We kept choosing Dustin, and he kept choosing us. He was the best. Dustin, your perfect family will be surrounded by our love. It's impossible for your memory to fade when you've left such a lasting impression on me. I love you, brother. I miss you already, and I look forward to one day seeing you again.
Now another of Brian's precious friends, Brian Tanza, will come and share.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Tanza. I'd like to first begin by thanking Laura and the entire DeMonte family for allowing us this honor to speak on our best friend, Dustin. I'd also like to thank everyone who came out to show their support today and for the amazing acts of kindness and generosity shown this past week. I'd also like to extend my sincere condolences to the Hamzy family and to thank Officer Iorato for what he did that night. To all the officers here today, thank you. It takes a special person to serve, and you do it day in and day out, putting your lives on the line to protect ours. I want you to know that we appreciate you, and what you do doesn't go unnoticed. Most of you here today know Dustin as Sergeant and now Lieutenant DeMonte, the hero. Mark and I are here to tell you a little bit about the Dustin we knew and grew up with. During my college years at UConn, I was a member of the grounds crew here at Rentschler Field. The last time I was at the stadium, Mark and Dustin were in the stands right over there, pelting me with snowballs as I was trying to work. And I never thought the next time I stepped foot inside this field would be to say goodbye to our best friend. Before he transferred to Central Connecticut State University to pursue a criminology degree, Dustin and I were freshman year roommates at UConn. We practically invented YouTube in our dorm room, making music videos of each other lip syncing and dancing. But Dustin and I met before college, long before college, and our friendship took root in the early days of backyard wiffle ball. It may not sound like anything to you, but to us, it was the major leagues. Back then, we'd post on our instant messengers, wiffle ball at Brian's. Soon, word would spread, and Dustin was always one of the first to arrive. But this wasn't just wiffle ball, this was an event. We had lights, music, and I even put patterns in the grass like the pro fields, even though Dustin would tease me for it. We would play until we were forced to shut the lights off, and if any of my old neighbors here today, apologies again for keeping you up late. As many of you know, Dustin loved baseball. He was a huge Yankee fan. Go Red Sox. Dustin and I were members of the Middletown High School baseball team. Dustin played catcher, a perfect position for him because he could lead and direct others, something he continued to do throughout his life. Dustin was a big guy in high school, but his body matured faster than his voice. I can still hear that voice cracking as he yelled, "2 outs," from behind home plate. Dustin was someone I felt comfortable going to with any problem, whether it be on the baseball field or in life, a quality every good leader has. I was so impressed by Dustin's work ethic. The three of us could be hanging out until 10, 11 o'clock at night, but somehow Dustin woke up before the sun to open the Cromwell Dunkin' Donuts. Then Mark and I would wander in later that day while he was working, begging for free donuts, which he would never give us, because he was an honest guy. You could always trust the Dust. He carried that work ethic into his career as a police officer, always striving to better himself for his family. I was a groomsman in Dustin's wedding, and he was excited to stand by my side on my wedding day next month. I was looking forward to seeing him and Mark on the dance floor doing the most ridiculous dance moves. Last month was my bachelor party up in Vermont. It centered around playing golf, a sport Dustin did not play. He went out and bought his own version of golf attire, a full button-up shirt with bananas all over it, shin-high white crew socks, and a hat that read, "Have more fun." While warming up on the driving range, Mark attempted to instruct Dustin on how to hit a golf ball, which ultimately resulted in a very large divot and the driver head going much further than the ball itself. I can still hear the cheers from his group through the trees anytime he made solid contact, followed by an immediate 4 as the ball sailed into an adjacent group on another hole. That morning I sat with Dustin on the porch discussing how things were going with my wedding planning in the military, his kids and his job. A pretty simple conversation. If I could go back on that porch again, I'd tell him how proud I am of him and the extraordinary life he's built. How I look up to him as a role model, a husband, and a service member. I think the hat he wore that weekend is a great reminder of how he'd want us all to live our lives from here on out. Tell your family you love them more often. Cherish the moments, big and small, and very simply, have more fun. As an Air Force officer and pilot, Dustin and I would have conversations centered around service. Dustin loved being a police officer. He was drawn to the brotherhood, cared about his community, and genuinely wanted to make a difference in people's lives. That's exactly what he did. He put service before self. The Bible says, "Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." Dustin, we're not sure where to go from here without you. But please know, Laura and all your children will be looked after. Phoebe and Porter will hear all of these stories one day and know what an amazing man their father was. I love you, and I'll miss you.
Thank you. Zachary Levine is now scheduled to speak. If he would make his way up.
Good afternoon. My name is Zach Levine. I've been a coworker and friend of Lieutenant DeMonte since the start of my career nearly a decade ago. To stand before you and speak about this exceptional man is an absolute honor. For those of you who did not know him, Dustin was the best of the best. He was the most honest, kind, sincere person that you could have ever met. He genuinely cared about every person that he came across. Civilians, students, family, friends, and strangers. Over the last few days, many of us have been talking about the wonderful memories we have of Dustin, ones that have made us laugh even in this dark time. So I'm here to share a couple of those stories with you in the hopes that they will highlight the kind of person that Dustin was and maybe even make you smile, because that's what Dustin would have wanted us to do. Dustin loved to dance, and he was great at it. In fact, Dustin and Laura had one of the most epic wedding entrances to date. Their wedding was beautiful, and the bridal party came out one by one. Laura and Dustin broke through the doors looking so elegant. They made their way to the dance floor, hugging and kissing, and then the beat dropped. The two of them broke into a well-choreographed dance that included the whip nae-nae and a very well-done stanky leg by Dustin. Then there was the Kitcher wedding, where he made his entrance, as a groomsman and convinced one of the bridesmaids to twerk. They nailed it. The bridesmaid gave up after a few seconds and walked off to join the rest of the bridal party. Meanwhile, Dustin waited for the peak moment of the song and then continued to twerk, very well I might add, in the middle of the dance floor, alone, for a very uncomfortably long period of time. The next story was one that I wasn't present for and only heard about, but it's worth sharing for no better reason than it is funny. While Dustin was on field training, he was working third shift, and he brought in an arrestee who, let's say, was uncooperative. He was a spitter. Dustin was instructed to go to the supply room and get a spit mask. He always listened to his superior officers and did exactly as he was told. When Dustin returned, he had the spit mask securely placed upon his own head so that when the arrestee spat, it wouldn't get in his mouth or eyes. He learned that night that spit masks are to be placed on the person doing the spitting, not on the police officer. And while I'm sure it was reflected in his daily report, he never made that mistake again. Finally, I'd like to tell two quick stories about Dustin and his wonderful way with animals. The first story is about a cat named Garfield who wore a leash and lived in Grand Central Station with his owner. During one Christmas season, Dustin, Laura, and a few of us took the train into New York City. At the end of the night, we got back to Grand Central, and Dustin decided we needed to stop to get baked goods for the train ride home. While ordering, Dustin was behind Garfield's owner and was unknowingly stepping on his leash. When his owner started walking, the leash pulled and the cat let out a howl, and his owner angrily turned around and began accusing Dustin of trying to kill her cat, causing quite the scene. Laura and the other girls came aggressively flying over to Dustin's defense, and the New York City Transit Police ended up in the mix. In true Dustin fashion, he coolly and calmly explained to the woman that he would never try to kill her cat and that the whole situation was just a misunderstanding. Just another example of Dustin being Dustin, handling any situation with grace and tact. The second story about Dustin and animals involves a rather large dog. During a call, Dustin and I got sent to serve a warrant. As we walked to the door, I told Dustin that there was a really big dog that lived there and that he wasn't friendly. When we spoke with the resident, I inquired about the dog's whereabouts, and she told me that he was in the bathroom. As we breathed a sigh of relief, we suddenly heard a growl and saw a dog that looked like a lion coming from around the corner of the house. He wasn't in the bathroom, he was going to the bathroom. The dog came barreling for us, and Dustin ran right inside and shut the door behind him, leaving me on the porch alone. The dog latched onto my left arm. Once all was under control, Dustin grabbed me by the collar and pulled me inside. I began screaming on the radio that I needed an ambulance to respond, lights and sirens. I told Dustin that I needed him to check my wounds because I couldn't look. Being the friend that he was, he jumped right into action. He rolled up my sleeve, inspected my arm carefully, and calmly explained that there was nothing, not a single scratch. The dog didn't even break my skin. He never let me live that one down, and I never held a door for him again. Through these stories, I hope that I was able to highlight the kind of person that Dustin was. He was an amazing police officer, but there was no role that he loved more than being a husband and father. Laura, he loved you. Phoebe and Porter deeply. He was proud to call you his, and he was thrilled to be having a third child with you. I'll never forget the smile on his face when he told me that you were expecting number 3. He may be gone from this earth, but he is always with you. He will live on in all of us forever. Each Bristol police officer gained 2 guardian angels on October 12th, and the world lost 2 of the best men it's ever known. Rest easy, Lieutenant DeMonte and Sergeant Hamzy. We'll take it from here.
Good job, Zach. Good job, Zach.
Laura, would you like to come and say a few words? As she's coming, she has asked that this Irish sentiment be shared, and so Pastor Alley is going to come and share.
Death is nothing at all. I have slipped away into the next room. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me the easy way which you always used to. Laugh as we always laugh together. Play, smile. Think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effort. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of your mind? Because I am out of your sight. I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is past, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. Only better, infinitely happier. And forever, we'll be one together in Christ.
To Alex and Dustin, you are both true heroes, amazing people, and you will be missed beyond words by everyone. I am so sorry this happened to you. 2 of the very best humans, so kind, positive, and fun-loving. Dustin, my love, babe, pain in the butt. The kids and I are honored to call you ours. You loved us so hard, and we felt that love every single day. I know you've felt that love in return. I remember thinking while we were at the beach, the park, the store, on a walk, playing outside in our yard, or just sitting on the couch, really anywhere, that this is the best life can ever get. That my heart is just so happy. And there couldn't have been truer words. Our family was as close to perfect as could be because we had you. You made everything better. Thank you for these beautiful children, wonderful memories that we will cherish forever, an amazing life, and the deepest, purest, most special love that I have ever felt. We love you so very much. You will always be our hero and our angel. Please stay with us always. These kiddos and I will keep dancing with you, for you, forever. Thank you all for being here today and the support you have shown. To all the officers out there, please be safe and stay strong. Things need to change out there, and I'm confident that Alex and Dustin are doing all they can up there to make sure that happens. Thank you.
You've been watching the funeral of Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte and Sergeant Alex Hamzy, 2 Bristol police officers killed in the line of duty. A tremendous showing of support there in East Hartford, Connecticut for their families and communities. I'm Chris Raggi. You're watching CBS News New York.